Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. It's time to read chapter 3 in book 2 of the Titanic. Before we begin our next chapter, let's quickly summarize and review the last chapter. Now, I saw some really great summaries from people out there. Brooklyn, I love how you used good transitions at the beginning of each event. First this happened, then this happened. I think overall you guys did a great job picking up on the important events in chapter 2. And when we left off, Sophie and Juliana are going to try to get Alfie so that they can help Patty escape. Chapter 3, RMS Titanic, Friday, April 12th, 1912, 5:35 p.m. Number 5 boiler room was so hot that Alfie half expected the wool of his steward's jacket to burst into flames. He felt a wave of pity as he regarded his father, black with coal dust, glistening with sweat, plying his shovel. The stokers of the Titanic's black gang lived and worked far below the waterline in a sunken realm of darkness and fire. Now, a stoker has that suffix someone who. Now, to stoke means to fuel a fire. So a stoker is someone who fuels the fire. So remember, his dad shovels in coal because the Titanic is a steamship, and the coal creates the fire, which makes the steam, which turns the wheels inside the ship to help it move. "Aye, boy," John Huggins was telling his son. "Captain Smith gave the order this morning to light 2 more boilers." "I don't know how you stand it, Da," Alfie gasped, running a finger under his tight collar. His father grinned. "I won't lie to you. There are times when I go up on deck for a breather, and I'm sore tempted to take a swim over the side, just to cool down. Then I remember how cold that ocean is, and I'm proper grateful to be hot again." "Why do they need more boilers?" Alfie questioned. John Huggins shrugged. "If you want your horse to go faster, you give him a bigger pail of oats. If you want more speed, you pour on more coal. She's making better than 500 miles a day. Well better, I'd wager. I've never worked a finer ship." Alfie looked nervous. 500 miles a day? Is that even safe? His father laughed. "We're in the middle of the Atlantic. The fish don't care how fast we pass by. We've 2 more burners yet to light. I expect that order will come tomorrow sometime. There's talk of making New York by Tuesday night, half a day ahead of schedule. Wouldn't that be something?" "I suppose," Alfie agreed, bewildered. "But what's the advantage of steaming into New York Harbor in the wee hours? The passengers will be asleep, and so will the city they're landing in." "The newspapers, lad," the fireman explained. "The maiden voyage of the greatest ship ever built. When the papers come out Wednesday morning, the name Titanic should be in every headline, in the largest type." "John," came a bellow that cut through the clamor of the boiler room. A sailor appeared partway down the ladder from the upper decks. "Is your boy there with you?" Let's stop and take a quick summary of the events and what's happening here. So Alfie's dad, John Huggins, is a stoker, and he's saying that they keep on turning on more burners so to make the ship go faster and faster. And what's the cause of that? Why are they doing that? Right, because they want to be able to get into the harbor half a day early, just to prove how fast and special the ship was so that they can make headlines in every newspaper. Now, the ironic thing is the Titanic definitely does make headlines in every newspaper because it went too fast. Alfie moved to the foot of the ladder. "I'm right here. A passenger wants you." "I'm off duty," Alfie protested. The man laughed. "Well, get back on duty. Miss Glam needs a hat from the baggage hold." Alfie was mystified. "Miss Glam? What hat? She has more hats than I have hairs on my head." "Or you can ignore her and hear about it from Mr. Lightoller. It's up to you." And he was gone. "Better go, lad," his father called good-naturedly. "You know these first-class ladies and their frills and fancies." Alfie walked forward, ducking through the hatch that separated the boiler rooms from the fireman's passage that led to the holds in the ship's bow. At the touch of a single button on the bridge, a watertight door would come down and seal that opening. There were 15 such doors dividing the hull of the Titanic into closed compartments. This was the feature that made her unsinkable. In the unlikely event that anything pierced the double steel hull, the flooding could be instantly and completely contained. In the passage, the temperature dropped appreciably. That, at least, was a relief. But the prospect of spending the rest of his afternoon off running hat boxes up and down the spiral staircase to Juliana was not very appealing. As a stoker's son, Alfie had met very few wealthy people prior to this voyage. It was astonishing how a change of hat could be so important to the captains of government and industry who determined the fate of the world. Giants obsessed with nonsense. Still, he was puzzled that Juliana would call him rather than the steward on duty. She was a fancy lady, yes, but usually considerate. She knew that Alfie valued his visits with his father now that Mum had abandoned them. He stopped in his tracks, suddenly overcome by loneliness for his mother. He felt no anger toward her. He even understood a little why she might run away from her drab life. Mum was a dreamer, her nose forever buried in a penny novel. What else did he expect from a woman who had named her only son Alphonse after the hero of her favorite French romance book? To be the wife of John Huggins, who was away at sea far longer than he was ever at home, must have been unbearable for her. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, Alfie thought. There are many whose lot is far worse than your own. After all, his scheme had worked perfectly. He had lied about his age and signed on with the White Star Line so he and Doc could sail together. They were aboard the Titanic, the finest ship in the world. He was lucky. He opened the hatch to the baggage hold and stepped inside, surveying the vast landscapes of crates, trunks, and suitcases, all secured by netting. High society did not travel light. Some of the first-class staterooms had stashed as many as 40 pieces of luggage. If we think back to what we learned about most immigrants that were coming to the United States who had one trunk for their whole family, everything valuable, and these people have 40 pieces of luggage for just one room. At least he didn't have to search for Juliana's things. Alfie had spent a lot of time in the hold. He already knew where to find the glam baggage, closer to the spiral staircase, not far from the Astor's vast collection of trunks and boxes. He stiffened at the sound of a football close behind him, but when he wheeled around, there was no one there. Frowning now, he faced up to Juliana's hat boxes, stacked higher than he was tall. Now, which one of these could possibly be the one she wanted? And how was he to know, by the way? A cat meowed somewhere behind the Astor's luggage. Alfie knew there was at least one kept on board, kept in the stewardess's quarters. But when he looked behind the pile, there was no sign of the animal. A deep unease gripped him. He had reason to believe that there was a criminal on board, a notorious murderer from long ago. Could this man be stalking him? He felt hot breath on the back of his neck. I want you to make a prediction. Who do you think is behind him? Who or what? And you could make that prediction on Google Classroom.